Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Wow. This show should be called Betty Has Egg on Her Face. Again. Because I keep coming on live and then messing up. So, thankfully, Facebook wasn't working yesterday. So, hopefully not that many people saw my live that I had to delete again, because I came on here. Hi, Dawn. I came on here yesterday to show you the Australian Confetti, and I've never made this version. So I just thought I could just wing it, and I kept getting confused. Hi, Josephine. So what do we do when we're confused in the 6-day kid blanket group? Or working on a 6-day kid blanket? What have we probably not done if we're confused and we're having problems? We probably haven't swatched. And I had not swatched, so I deleted that. And hi, Tawny. And I went back to the drawing board and I swatched, and I came up with this. So as I was swatching, I was inspired, and I came up with this that I'm going to call the 6-day sweetheart blanket. And I went to the outlet 2 days ago, or I don't remember when it was, Sunday maybe, and was it Sunday? And I'm saying 2 days ago, and today's Friday. Holy smokes, I need to get out more. But there's nowhere really to go except the Lion Brand outlet. It's in like an hour away, or the grocery store. So I'm going to write this up real quick, and I'm going to drop it onto Patreon first. So hopefully like today or tomorrow I'll get this out, and it's a 6-day kid blanket. There is plenty of time to make one for Valentine's Day for your sweetheart. So this is, see what swatching can do. But this is the Australian Confetti effect, and it was conceptualized or originated, or the idea came from Oldboiler Robo, who also conceptualized the pocket shawl, the 6-day pocket shawl. She's a left-handed Australian crocheter and a moderator in the 6-day kid blanket group, and she's probably sleeping right now. So anyways, this is the edge I'm going to put onto the sweetheart blanket. So here we go. So we got it's embarrassing to go live and then be making mistakes, but look what we got out of it. Inspiration. So I am going to show you how to do the Australian Confetti effect today, though. I'm going to do it properly. I have my swatch right here, and this, you can see it better if I show it up here. All right, and so let's see. So the yarn that I chose for this is Lion Brand Woolies, and this is a yarn. Y'all know I love Lion Brand, and so this is let me put them in order. This is a yarn I used to use a lot, and after picking some of it up and like working with it yesterday, I fell in love with it again. It's really nice and lofty and soft and squishy, and I love the feeling of wool, and just had me just falling in love with this yarn all over again. So yeah, that's another good thing that came out of this. Yeah, let's just get to it. Australian Confetti effect. Let's see, let me look at the, yes. Tony, is it Tony or Tawny? She says she made a 6-day blanket for her daughter-in-law and she loved it. I mean, I think it's a great idea to keep daughter-in-laws happy when yeah, daughter-in-laws and mother-in-laws, that's a difficult relationship, but anything you can do to stay friends with that lady and keep her happy, it's going to make things easier on your son. right? And support their marriage and their happiness. Yeah. We are all human. Deborah Hawks Brown. Yeah, you were on the live yesterday. I think you were watching me and commenting on YouTube, right, Deborah? I got confused because I have never done the Australian Confetti, and I just thought, oh, I know how to do that. But it's easy to get confused as you're going along, and especially if you haven't swatched. So let this be a lesson to everyone. Hi, Janice. Thank you so much. It's so kind of you. I'm so grateful that I have this outlet to come on and connect with people, really. And the 6-day kid blanket was just like the pattern itself is just like a little miracle in my life. That's how I feel about it. It went viral at a time like where I was in an uncertain place. I was, in the middle of a really nasty divorce, and I moved, and I just, there's just like a lot of uncertainty in my life, and then this pattern went viral out of nowhere. I wasn't even paying attention to it. So, and now we have this whole community of people connecting. I mean, how weird and wonderful is that? Yeah, hi. So if you're on Facebook, it doesn't always tell me who you are. So, hi, and good girl, making your swatch. You get a gold star. And yeah. So we have a challenge coming up, not next week, but the following week. So I'm just doing all this different, I'm swatching the different effects for all of you, which I've never done before. So I usually just like explain them, but now I'm making video tutorials for you because I know you like them, and I enjoy being live and interacting with all of you, and even when I screw it up, or should I say stuff it up? That's what the Australians say, right? They stuffed it. And they also say chuffed, but chuffed is good and stuffed is bad. And if I have that wrong, let me know. Okay, so I'm gonna chain 37, and I'm probably not going to call out stitch by stitch, but I'm just gonna get started, and I'm gonna explain things as I'm working. I broke this yarn, so it's feeling really thin. So I'm using Lion Brand woolies, and I'm starting with an eye hook, and then I'm gonna drop down to oh hey, Linda, hi. I'm gonna drop down one on the single crochet row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A swatch starts with 37. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I'm not doing a straight start. I'm just doing the regular chevron start. But if you are starting straight, the formula for chains, for figuring your chains, is 13 plus 4. But if you're not starting straight, it's 17 plus 3. And the reason that works is because when you do the straight start, you have to increase. So the stitches increase. So if you have a straight bottom like this, and then you want to make chevrons, right? Do you see how that line, it like accordions? So you have to account for that. So 13 plus 4 or 17 plus 3, it will come out the same. So straight start, 14 stitches per point. Chevron start, 17 stitches per point. And then row 1, we single crochet across the row. and you should end up with 36. And no, the slip knot does not count as one. Duh! How many people I've taught the wrong thing by saying that, or confused the heck out of people. And if you are doing foundation single crochet, you start with one less than a chain start. I always use a chain start because I like the stability of the edge of the chain start. My foundation single crochet is kind of stretchy. It's something that I use on like a hat or a garment that I don't want to have that tight edge, but I don't use it on my blankets. I want them to have stable starting edges. The Australian Confetti effect is a play on the snowflake effect. It's actually, I think this is what confused me. It's like a cross between the snowflake effect and the half snowflake effect. Okay, there's my row 1. Okay, and so the way this effect works is you add an extra row 3, and the first time you do row 3, you do, let me look at you switch to the next color that you're going to use, and then the second time you do it, you go back to the previous color, and then you switch again. Okay, it'll make more sense. So as I'm doing it, I hope. So these are my 4 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is my first color. So as I'm starting off with this color, if we think about how the blanket would work out, later in the order of the blanket, my first color is going to come after my 4th color. So when I change the first time, I'm going to change back to what would be the previous color. So that would be this. Okay, will make a little more sense, I hope. So, whoops. Okay, so row 2, I'm going to chain 4 to turn. The pattern says to chain 3, but I always chain 4. 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3, 3, 3. Now Oldboiler Robo, her real name is Glynis. Glynis starts and ends her confetti effect with the double crochet rows. It gives it like an even stripe. I'm just starting with my first color. Okay, skip 2, oops, 3 double crochet, skip 2, D, C, 3 together. It's a cluster worked all in the same stitch. So don't make the very common mistake of working it over 3 stitches like a decrease, and then skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and work into the 5th one, Another common mistake is to only skip 3 and work into the 4th one. Skip 4. It really means skip 4. I mean, that just feels like such a big hole and a lot of stitches to skip. Skip 2, 3 double crochet in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, skip 2, 3, 3, 3, skip 2, 3 double crochet. So there are actually 2 ways to get the confetti effect, and I'll show you the other way another time. The other way is not to add a row, an additional row 3, but I'll do them separately. Okay, I always work in extended. I started doing this not too long ago. I work in extended double crochet on the last stitch of the row. My edges curl, and I haven't added that to the pattern yet, but my edges do curl. Okay, so there's my row 2. Okay, and so now I'm going to go on to row 3, but I'm going to switch to what would be the color of the previous stripe. Okay, so this is my first row, so we're just imagining that the sequence goes A, B, C, D, and then A again, so D would be the stripe before. Okay, here's the swatch. A, B, C, D, and then gray would come next. Okay, so we're going to switch to this dark rose. Let me say the names. This is gray is Gray Heather, and the this is dark rose Heather from Lion Brand. Hi. It just says Facebook user, so you have to say who you are. If you're on Facebook, make sure you tell me who you are. It doesn't give me everyone's name. Okay. I found my swan scissors. I couldn't find them yesterday. They're so sharp. Unfortunately, you can't carry the yarn with this method because it ends up on the wrong side of the work every time. Okay, and here's how I change colors. On the last pull through of the stitch, before I want the color to change, I pull through the new color, and I take the 2 tails and I flip them up over my working yarn and hold them to the back, and I'm pulling this working yarn pretty tight, and then I chain. I make my first turning chain. I'm chaining 4 to turn because that's what I do. I'll show you, hi Regina, I'll show you the extended double crochet at the end of this row when I get to it. Okay, 3 double crochet in the space. This is row 3. Hey Glynis, you're here. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you weren't here yesterday to see me screw this up. I stuffed it. I believe that's what you say, right? When you mess it up, you stuffed it. And chuffed is when you're happy about it. Do I have that right? Am I speaking Australian properly? I got confused because I didn't swatch. But I swatched last night, and then I came up with a pattern variation I'm excited about. How's everything going with you, Glennis? It's a polite way of saying it. Did I say a bad word? Okay, I have Marissa on YouTube. You're right, I misspoke. It's 13 plus 4 for the straight start. Not 14. 13 stitches per point for the straight start. So there's a question on Facebook. She says, love your blankets. One question, do you really need to put a border around them? My original blanket, I did not put a border on it. Some people use a border to alleviate curling. Oh my goodness. Okay, so extended double crochet. I work my edges from the back to the front to alleviate curling, and then extended double crochet, it starts just like a regular double crochet. You pull through 1, and then you pull through 2 and pull through 2. It just gives you a little bit longer double crochet. Wow, you must be exhausted. Okay, I gotta rewind that last step though, because we're going to repeat row 3, but we're gonna change back to the color of the next stripe. So am I using your terminology wrong? Okay, pull it through, and then I take the 2 tails and I flip them up over my working yarn, hold it to the back. I pull this kind of tight, okay, and I chain 4 to turn. Do it as written in the pattern first in your swatch and see. So the reason I chain 4 is because my edges curl. If your edges curl, you will want to put a border on your blanket. And there are some other things that you can do to alleviate the curling. You can chain 4 instead of 3 when you turn. You can do an extended double crochet at the end of the row and where it says double crochet, and you can work the last stitch of every row from back to front. All those tips are in the pattern with the exception of the extended double crochet, because I just started doing that. I haven't updated the pattern yet. Hi, thank you, new subscriber, McKnit. The shawl that I am wearing hasn't gone to testing yet. It's a new pattern. I've been working on it for a while. But if you are really interested in it, I release everything to Patreon first. They get a pre-release of all my patterns. So I'm really trying to get this one to testers. I've been working on it for a long time. I made this one with Shape Yes Whirl, and I love the ombre gradient effect of it. It's really interesting to watch that develop. But yeah, this has been in development for maybe a year. It takes me a long time. I'm also working it up in Nurturing Fibers for Good Loops with the new Eco Lush. It is a cotton and bamboo yarn. It's lovely. So I hope to have this ready for you by early spring so you can make them for the spring. Okay, and this last stitch of the row, I'm going to work it from back to front, and that helps keep my edges from curling. It alleviates the curling. But you can see I'm already kind of getting the ripple effect, and it's normal. I'm not worried about it, especially because there's wool content in here. Sure, absolutely. And this is going to flatten out. Every knitted and crochet item stretches. So it's actually a strategy to make this a little bit tighter so that you can allow for it to stretch out a little bit. Okay, so there's my first repeat with the first confetti row. Now I'm going to go on to the next. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3. Oh, it's autumn for you right now. So you're going into colder weather. And we're already thinking about springtime here. I haven't come up with a name for this shawl. Somebody suggested Demi Lune, which I really loved, but unfortunately it's been used, sadly, because I really liked that name. So maybe I'll give it a Hawaiian name because I really love Hawaii. Okay, I'm moving on to row 4. Single crochet in the first stitch, skip 1, and then I'm gonna make 8 single crochet to the top of the mountain, 3 single crochet in the chain 3 space, can't join? You can't join what? Gotta love when you crochet a hair into your work. Okay. It's okay, we're doing the Australian Confetti effect, and it'll be available on replay. You can always come back to it if you want to do Aussie Confetti. You can just join in and visit as long as you're able to stay. Who is it? Busy, crazy stuff going on. Is that Aaron? I know there's so much going on in the world. I'm so glad that that we have crochet to keep us busy. And everyone said we were crazy stockpiling all that yarn. Who's laughing now? We all have plenty to do. Christmas stuff needs putting away. Okay, I'm moving on to my double crochet row. So I'm going to finish this repeat in this color, my first color. So double crochet row, you skip 2 at the beginning of the row. Single crochet, you skip 1. Granny rows, we call the 3 granny stitch cluster rows the granny rows. Someone says made a 12 point for a Christmas gift and they loved it. That's wonderful. Have you tried any of the 6-day star blankets? I think our next challenge after this one, I'll do another star blanket challenge, so new people can learn the stars. We can teach on that a little bit. Working on the supernova. The star blankets came about because people asked me for it. They asked me for a 6-day kid blanket in the round, worked from the center out. Now, you could take the rows, single crochet, 2 rows of granny, single crochet, 2 rows of double crochet, and you could work them in the round like a granny square, but I want it to chevron, or you could work it in the round like a circle, but I wanted it to chevron. So it took me, I don't know, maybe a year to figure that out, how to make it chevron, and that is when the star blankets were born, and they came out three different ways. And I think my favorite of all of them, which is the one I said, and this always happens, I always say, this is stupid, I don't like this, but somebody will like it and people will want to make it. And that would be the Superstar. It's the closest to round in shape of all of them, and it's the one that I thought, this one's kind of dumb, but I think, somebody might like to make it, and it's the one I always make now. I don't know why I have those thoughts. I'm creating something and I'm like, this is dumb. I think we're all just way too hard on ourselves. I don't know why. It just seems like we don't trust our own vision, our own creativity. Sometimes you make 5 and 6 footers. It's great. I like the star blanket, the regular star, in a heavier yarn, like a chunky yarn. And they work up so quick and so mindless. I love it. And I like this Superstar for mixing. I like mixing cakes on the Superstar blanket. I just love the way it looks. And then the Supernova, I think I've only made like one of them. I don't think I've made too many of them. You all make way more blankets than I do, because what I end up doing is as I'm designing, I make it, I rip it out, I make it, I rip. This has probably been ripped out. No lie, 5 times, completely ripped out to the beginning. Are you double crocheting in top loop only or through 2? I go through 2. Sometimes people do like to add texture by only working in through, you know, front loop or back loop right there. Some people have replaced double crochet rows with half double crochet just for some added texture. Check out Stephanie Warner's blankets. She does that. Here's my extended double crochet again. You just pull through 1 and then 2 and 2. That's extended double crochet. I use that in my patterns a lot, just to give edges a little more give. Single crochet row, single crochet in the first stitch. Don't forget to skip 1. And then all you have to do on this row, row 7, is single crochet every stitch except for the second one and the second to the last. Yes, we did buy out all the tea cakes, and they don't make them anymore. And but they do have sprinkle cakes, and they have some new cakes called Lovely Layers. Karen has the Lovely Layers cakes, and they are very similar to the tea cakes. I have a couple of them. Because I wanted to check them out for that reason. They are very similar to the tea cakes. If you wanted to make any of our tea cake blankets that we have in the albums, look at the Karen Sprinkle Cakes and Karen and Lovely Layers. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is our first repeat. Okay, so this is where I got confused yesterday, and then I ended up just like adding all these rows. So my next color in my sequence is going to be this light pink, and the name of the color is Blush Heather. Blush Heather. This is Gray Heather, Blush Heather, Rose Heather, and Dark Rose Heather. That's the name of the 4 colors that I chose. Okay, so we're going to change colors to the next color in the sequence for row 2, and then we're going to add that row 3 with the previous color. Then we're going to switch back to our new color for row 3 again. Okay? And then continue. So that's how this works. That's how Confetti Effect works. So let me snip this. Change to the light rose, what is it? Blush Heather. Blush Heather. I haven't figured out the yardage on this yet. For a full-size blanket. Sweetheart blanket. 1, 2, 3. Check the website if you want the tea cake, sprinkle cakes. Because I think they're on their way out, actually. And I mean, remember with those tea cakes, they only released them like one time. We didn't get any new colors, and then the next year we were waiting for them. I was working at Michael's, and I saw that they had a I was the support specialist, so I could see what was coming, and we had a display coming called Karen Coffee Shop or something like that. And I was like, oh, we must be getting new tea cakes, or maybe they're going to be coffee cakes, or I don't know what they are. And then we got latte cakes, but we didn't get any new tea cakes. 2, 3, 4. Well, they must have heard something, because they came back with these lovely layers, and they're very similar. They make really nice blankets, and you can whip one up. I mean, I love making a blanket from tea cakes for the challenges, because I know I can get through one whole skein of yarn in a day or more, one whole cake. I don't know. I just love whipping up a chunky blanket. It's probably not everyone's style, but I love whipping up a chunky blanket. My favorite color of the tea cakes was something called Vanilla Bean, and they did come out with another version of Vanilla Bean, but it's not the same. The colors aren't the same. I think I had one on a live. Okay, so for row 3, we're going back to the previous color. Okay, for the first, we do row 3 twice. So we should maybe call it row 3A, row 3B. Go for row 3B, 3A. We're going to use the color from the previous row, the previous sequence. Okay. And I pull it through the last 2 loops, and then I take the 2 tails, flip them up over the working yarn, hold it to the back, kind of snug it up. And the reason I do that is because I don't tie knots. Okay, and you can see those, that's pretty secure. Obviously, I'm going to work over that later and then weave it in, but knots, maybe they're secure most of the time, but if you tie that knot and you're cutting, if you're going to tie a knot, don't cut the ends close to the knot. Leave tails and weave them in, because if that knot comes undone, it's way more likely to come undone if you're trimming it close. But if it does, then there's nothing to repair the hole with. That's just me, and I know everybody says I've never had one come undone, but if you sell your blankets or you give them away, you really don't know if they haven't come undone. Maybe you gave your blanket away, the knot came undone, the thing unraveled, and they didn't want to hurt your feelings and say, oh, by the way, that thing you made us has a big hole in it now. Cut, tie, and weave. I avoid tying the knots at all. And maybe it's just me, and people send me suggestions for ways to work in the yarn, work with both, and I have tried a lot of different things, and for me, just good old-fashioned weaving in the ends is what looks best. And trust me, I hate weaving in ends more than anyone. I'm the laziest crocheter there is. and I would love to have a shortcut, but I'm definitely not going to take any chances. It's just in the end worth it to me to take a little extra time. I can complain the whole time. Oh, I hate weaving in these ends. I mean, this project I'm wearing right now around my neck hasn't had the ends woven in on it yet. Partly because it's a new design, and I have learned not to weave in ends as I go, because what if I need to rip it out, especially as a designer? But I mean, let's be real. I'm really just lazy. I also hope to get some yardage estimates in the pattern. That's one of the most common questions. People look for yardage in the pattern for the different sizes. And here's what happened. I didn't really ever expect anyone to be resizing my pattern. I mean, I guess I did expect it because I put 17 plus 3 in the pattern the first, when I first published it, but I wasn't expecting what happened to happen, and to have like a whole community and thousands of blankets being made in all different yarns and weights. So that's why the pattern doesn't have any yardage for the different sizes, and just the size that I made. But really, enough blankets have been made. We can put yardage estimates in the pattern. That really shouldn't be too difficult to do. So I'm going to take some time, hopefully before this challenge, and update the yardage estimates in the pattern for you, make it a little bit easier. Okay, so this is row 2, row 3, 3A, and now we're going to repeat row 3 with our next color in our sequence. Where's that swatch? Okay, so the next color is the blush pink. So then we're going to go into that and then complete the row, the stripe with the blush pink. Did I cut it yet? No, I did not. And you'll have yourself some ends to weave. Pull it through. Take the tails, flip them up, and then chain. And then what I will do is, when I come down this side edge and I'm doing my single crochet row, I'll line them up with the color that they match. Have a great day. And I'll work over them for maybe only 1 or 2 stitches, not too many, because like I said, I can't get that to work without it showing, but I'll work over it for a couple of stitches, and then when the blanket's all done, I'll weave that end into the edge, or this one I might work it down into this gray a little. I'll work it into the stripe that it matches. That's how I deal with those ends. But they're secure there for now while I'm working on my blanket. They're safe. I don't have to tie a knot. All right. Row 3B. 333 at the top of the mountain. You still have hook placement issues? What do you mean? I hope these videos help. Last stitch of the row, I'm working from back to front. What hole to put it in? Well, there are lots of different ways to do it, you know. Do you mean just at the beginning of the and the end of the row, or in general? It's the way that I do it at the beginning and the end of the row. Like, for instance, this row, I'm working into tops of stitches. So because I'm working into stitches, I'm going to work the last stitch of the row into the chain. And when I on these rows where I'm working into holes, I work the last stitch of the row into a hole, just so that it's consistent. Some people might say it would be more consistent to just always work the hole or always work the stitch. I think it's more psychological than actually important in terms of technique. Not so much my pattern, just in general. Well, if it doesn't specify, usually they mean to work under the top 2 threads of the stitch. Usually, if it doesn't specify, but there are so many ways to make a crochet stitch and so many different stitches to make. Right, so this end I worked into stitches, so I'm going to work into the chain instead of just into that hole. Okay. So if it says crochet into the same stitch, that's this one on the end. So if it says, like this says chain 3, sometimes it will say counts as, you know, it count, that the stitch counts, or it does not count. If it does not count, that means you start working at this one. If it counts, it means that you don't work this. It takes the place of a double crochet. I specified here because people kept asking me, do I count this one or don't I count this one? Technically, this is a double crochet. Okay, so we're really technically only skipping 2, but I got so many emails of people saying that they did 8 and they didn't make it to the top. So I just changed it to say skip 3, including the first one. So that's why at the end you only skip a different number of stitches, because this technically doesn't count, but just for clarity's sake, I counted it. It just seemed like it was easier for people to get it. Hello, South Africa. Oops, I'm doing too many. This is a double crochet row. I'm only supposed to skip 2, not 3. But technically it's really only 1. If you're on Facebook, my software doesn't show me your name. It just says Facebook user. I think you might have to sign up somewhere and give the application permission, or just tell me who you are. Yeah, and I think that, you know, I think we need to just give ourselves permission sometimes not to be perfect, or to just trust our own judgment, to put the hook where it looks right to us. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for following. And if you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you're watching me, click whatever for notifications. Please subscribe on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications so you know whenever I'm live, because this is definitely more fun when I have people to talk to. It's Friday. I'm in love and I'm making a sweetheart blanket. This is going to be the 6-day sweetheart blanket. It's a new design I came up with yesterday. I was inspired making this swatch. That's great. I love this yarn too. It's really pretty. I'm just falling in love with it all over again. Woolies. So soft. See, I'm only skipping one here at the end. It's because technically on the other side I really only skipped one. But that's what they mean when they say it counts or it doesn't count. Okay, I got another double crochet row to go. It's Lion Brand Woolies. And this color pink is Blush Heather. The gray is Gray Heather, I think it's called. And then I'm also using the Rose Heather and the Dark Rose Heather. Those are the 4 colors for this blanket. It's going to be an adult size throw, approximately 50 inches wide by 60 inches long, approximately. And I haven't figured out the yardage yet to tell you how much yarn you'll need, but I'm going to try and get this all posted quickly so that we can make them for our sweethearts for Valentine's Day. Coming up so soon. I mean, it's a 6-day blanket, so you have plenty of time. Let's see, and then yes, everything gets pre-released onto Patreon first. I think you have to subscribe at $5 a month or make an annual pledge. I think it costs $54, something like that, to pledge annually and be at the level where you get the pre-releases. We get very limited amounts of Lion Brand in South Africa. Oh, that's too bad. Oh yes, Nurturing Fibers. This I've worked this up in Nurturing Fibers as well. This is an upcoming pattern. Hasn't been to testing yet. This is the Australian Confetti effect. So the reason I did 1 row of the dark rose in the beginning is because I'm wrapping around the sequence of colors, so I'll show you in a second. Let me just finish this row. I'm using 4 colors, and the way that you work the confetti effect is you bring in a pop of color from the previous stripe. Well, since I'm at the beginning of the blanket, there is no previous stripe, right? So I had to kind of wrap the color sequence around. So this is my swatch that I made, this long swatch. the 6-day sweetheart blanket in Australian Confetti effect. So the sequence goes gray, blush, pink, dark pink, and then gray. So what comes before gray is the dark pink. So it's just like as if the color's wrapped around, right? So what would be before gray would be dark pink. Does that make sense? And then up here at the top, gray would come after it, right? So I just have the little bit of gray again. And Glynis actually starts hers with the double crochet rows, so I actually think that makes a lot of sense. And y'all know I'm not one for starting and ending on double crochet rows, but I think it makes a lot of sense because you would have the double crochet rows here in the dark, and then you'd have them again up here. So you would have, you know, like a matching, actually it would be gray up here, but I do think it makes sense. But I haven't decided on that yet. But yeah, that's why the dark rose is, that pop of dark rose is here in the beginning. It's because that's the color that would come before it in the sequence. Okay, so I'll just do, let me see, I have to do my single crochet row, and then I'll do the next 3 rows. So I'll get one more confetti pop in there for you, and then we can move along about our day. And I think I mentioned there are 2 ways to do the confetti effect. This is one way, by adding an additional row 3. And then there's a way that you can do it without adding a row 3, and I'll do that on another live because I don't like to make my lives too much longer than an hour, and it's been an hour already. But I'm going to go through 3 more rows of, just to show you one more pop of color and how it would work. And then I'm going to try and get this written up for you all today and shoot it off to the patrons. And if there's anyone that wants to work, anyone in the US that would like to work one up for me real quick so I can photograph it, just holler at me. Okay. So the next row, I'm going to bring in the next color in the sequence, okay, for 1 row. Pull that through. Let me cut this, and then I take those 2 ends and wrap them up over the working yarn. Did I skip? Yes, I did. And then chain 2, 3, 4. Thank you. And we're skipping 3, and we're starting row 2 with the next color in the sequence. All right, have a good day. See you later. Whoops. These colors are lovely, and the yarn is so soft and springy and warm feeling. I love the way this yarn feels. I used to use this yarn a lot, and I think I mostly knitted with it. I think that's why I haven't used it as much. I think I just saw it as a knitting yarn and not a crochet yarn. I don't know. Or were they not making it for a while? I don't know what happened to why Woolies has not been in my life, because it's a delicious yarn. It's lovely. Whoops. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's a really pretty effect. Okay, whoops. All right. Okay, now for row 3, let me see, did I do it right? Yes. Yeah, it's a nice little pop. Hi, Anne. She says she's looking forward to the challenge. She's done her swatches. Yes, all the best to everyone. I really appreciate this community. Okay, so for the first row 3A, we'll call it, we rewind. We should call it the rewind row. You do a rewind row, you rewind to the previous stripe color. So pull it through, flip it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. The pattern says to chain 3, I chain 4 because my edges tend to curl. When I repeat row 3, I'll go back to the rose heather. All right. Have a good night, South Africa. I really want to visit one day. One day I'm going to go all over the world and meet all my besties in every country y'all are living in and bring yarn and hooks. All the stuff y'all can't get in your country, and you can share with me whatever we don't get here in the US. Oops. I'm just going to do 2 more rows just to finish up this sequence. And then I'm going to get off of here and I'm going to start writing up some of these things. I have the scarf that I'm wearing around my neck all written up, and sometimes I do things late at night. So I finished writing this up late at night last night, and so I need to I've learned the hard way, like many of my lessons, not to send things out late at night, but go back in the morning and look it over again. So I've got this scarf to look over, and then I'm going to send it out to a few people and get testers working on it soon. And write up this sweetheart blanket, which I'm probably not going to test. I'm just going to write it up and throw it out there and to my patrons. Try and get that out by tonight or the weekend at the latest. Oh, wow, bucket list trip. Oh, yeah, Paris is so beautiful. I was there almost 30 years ago with my ex-husband, and I would love to go back there and experience that without him. Nice. I mean, we had a lovely time, but we always had to do whatever he wanted, and I was so young and kind of clueless at the time. I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I'd love to go back and do that again. A lot of wonderful memories from the sites there, the museums and the cemeteries, and so many cool, interesting things. And Ireland as well. I loved Ireland. I mean, I actually just felt when I was there, I was like, I could live here. Loved it. Hey, Lisbeth, how are you? Oh, the Louvre, all the places we went, the churches, I mean, my ex-husband is the kind of guy who's like, when I'm in Philadelphia, I have a Philadelphia cheesesteak. When I'm in Boston,